Pisces, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for March 7th through the 13th of 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. All right, so Pisces, we've got a solar eclipse, a total solar eclipse here Tuesday and Wednesday, right on the cusp between your sign, Pisces, and Aquarius. So it's a very transformational time for all of us, but especially those two signs. For you, it's about releasing a lot of old energies relating to self, relating to your spiritual self, and balancing those, through the acceptance of self and of your spiritual self. And it's through that acceptance you then build that foundation to move into your life path that much more healthfully. So let's go and look at what this looks like for you. Your life path is shifting into your 6th house for the next 2 years, which is all about this conscious focus and attention for you to develop the everyday experiences. It might be through work, it might be through your time management, energy management, your routine, your health, diet, regiments, whatever it might be. There's been a lot that you've been learning about this and can continue to learn about, especially with Jupiter retrograde. It's a bit about, trying new things, experimenting here. But for the next 2 years, and this whole beginning of the year has been really supporting you to move into this part of your life, which is about, again, grounding the spiritual self in the everyday experiences, whether it's through your work, your self-improvement, or whatnot. So to do this in a healthy sense, we do have to come to peace and balance with the South Node spiritually. And so the key with this is always acceptance and gratitude. And so I think the eclipse is going to be mostly pulling on the Aquarius side of it. So this is going to be your 12th house, which is the deep spiritual connotations to life. And I think the more open you are to learning more about yourself in a spiritual sense without identifying it, it's just about feeling it and going within, really having faith and trust that everything is unfolding in the divine process. That will help build the foundation for you to move into this grounded sense in that healthy way. So it's mostly probably on that 12th house for you, but in terms of it being close to your sign, any over-under extremes about the identity, or about the self, or your goals, your values, the things that are important to you in life that you want to pursue, your desires. So the key is just observing. The South Node is a very spiritual planet, and it's through that observational awareness we become more aware of things. We become aware of these perspectives and maybe fears or attachments that we might be holding on to. And through that awareness, it allows the old energies to naturally work their way out. Okay, and then it could also be any over-under extremes, not only with self, but also with spirituality, with sometimes alone time, those kinds of things. And through the gratitude and acceptance for what we already have with self, with goals, with identity, and with your spiritual self, and with that alone time, that gratitude really helps balance it out. And then that allows you to have that healthier sense of, okay, on a conscious level, although this is the spiritual level, on the conscious level, there's a lot of this drive, motivation, etc., to cultivate the earthly, material aspects of life, whether it's through your work, self-improvement, or whatnot. So that's the eclipsing point in a nutshell. It is squaring up to Saturn, so it's important to stay nice and grounded with this whole thing. The sun is going to be opposing up to Jupiter leading up to it as a reminder that, we can't have that spiritual self, can't have spirituality without groundedness, without the discipline, the routine, the time, the energy, which comes through the management of time and space and energy. So that's one way of looking at it. And then the other way, we can't have the daily activities if we don't have some sort of acceptance, some sort of belief in that there is this divine process and things are unfolding in the divine way, or just that we have more acceptance for how things are unfolding. So we can't have one without the other, and this is a reminder that they're really one and the same thing. And it's about synergizing and combining the spiritual with the physical in this sense, grounding your spirituality and vice versa, spiritualizing your grounded self through that presence and acceptance. So that's the opposition there, and it can actually come across as quite optimistic early in the week sometimes, but Jupiter's retrograde, so I think it's going to be more internal in that sense. Now, also leading into this eclipse, the sun is going to be sextiling up to Pluto from the previous weekend. So this is perhaps a willingness to change, maybe new insights, and just this sort of openness to change things and transform things. All right, and this is probably in regards to maybe that spiritual time out, or that, divine willingness to go with the flow. So that's good, and that it's supporting it. It could also be maybe some changes with the career or public stuff, which could be fueling that also. But the key is around this is that it's a good time to reflect. It's a very spiritual time, especially because it's very close to your sign and in that 12th house. So earlier in the week, really going within and spiritually examining, not intellectually, but spiritually, and feeling and seeing what it means for you personally, and where you can have that releasing to create space for these new beginnings. The releasing of the unhealthy energies. All right, so after the eclipse, we got some sign changes. We got the sun going into Pisces, your sign. So happy birthday for those of you who have your sun sign birthdays this week and next week and so on. But for all of you, whether it's for your moon or ascendant, now you've got this sun in your first house. So for about the next month or so, you should have this prana, this energy to pursue your goals, to pursue the things that are important to you. Now, I don't think it's going to be all lift-off time just yet because you got all this energy still in your 12th. But on some level, midweek, you'll probably notice more of a focus on this, more of a focus on the self. And I think that's a good energy to work with. There's going to be healing with that. Healing self is going to be this sort of new thing, which has been Chiron recently going into Pisces. Any over under extremes, but mostly just inadequacies, feelings of doubt perhaps, which might come up at times, but it's through the acceptance that we do the healing work. And with the sun going over there, that could be specifically relating to, the self in that sense, and maybe even these routines and these daily stuff, and maybe doing some healing in regards to those sorts of abilities. Now, also midweek, we've got Venus going into your 12th house, which actually means you can enjoy quite a bit, a lot of these alone time or spiritual activities. If you aren't already, involved with them, but I think you are. But see, Venus here is lightening it all up. So you can enjoy that rest, you can enjoy the dream space, you can enjoy a lot of this relaxation stuff. And I think for whatever reason, that eclipse is really shifting that perspective in that sense. Now, Mars is making his way into Scorpio, your 9th house, where you've had Saturn helping you ground and discipline your life path. But now you've got Mars to motivate you along the life path, again, probably as a result of all this eclipsing. So with Mars, you got drive, you got motivation to either share philosophy, to learn wisdom, or to expand your horizons. Maybe even tap into that adventurous spirit. Although it's quite grounded and real and serious, with Saturn here, you can certainly gain the motivation and drive to do those more adventurous, expansive things. Now, as we approach the weekend, with the sun going over Chiron in that first house, we also have Mercury conjoining up to Neptune in the 12th. So maybe really paying attention to those dreams around this time period. It's understanding the practical use, the practical implementation of the spiritual self and of the intuition. And if there is uncertainty or doubt, it's your willingness to work with uncertainty that will determine the result of this, but it's a neutral aspect. And I feel like, through accepting uncertainty, you can actually have quite a peaceful time with this. It can be perhaps quite relaxing in that sense. Now, Jupiter is trining up to Pluto, and this is very supportive, especially for you because this is your ruler. So this has been a very nice aspect considering all of this deeper stuff going on. This is the second aspect with it. Jupiter's retrograde, so you guys are a bit more on the reflective, internal level. However, with this second aspect, maybe there's some insight, maybe there's some, again, motivation and drive to make change with the daily, everyday stuff. And that's very supportive with this, and even make change with you, maybe. So it's your ruler, your identity, your self-image, motivations, your drives. So very powerful stuff. Now, as we approach the weekend, the last aspect of the week is going to be the sun conjoining up to the south node, which is going to be in that first house. So here's where the illumination really comes into the picture in terms of the old self, because you've had the south node in your first house. So for the past 2 years, there's been a lot of releasing about any, unhealthy or under extremes about self and your perspective on that. And that's all finishing up because you got the south node going into the 12th now. So the sun here activating it, though, is going to suggest that you can really become aware of the true, deep spiritual self and what you can release so that you can move into this life path that much more healthily of the expansion in the everyday environment in the grounded sense. All right, Pisces, so have an excellent week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week.